read. We're going to read a new book today, and the name of this book is How to Write a Story. So this book talks about how you would create a story. It talks about ways to get ideas. It talks about where to find ideas. And we're going to use this book to help us begin to write our first story. So today we're going to learn how to write a story across pages. That means that we're going to staple pages together and we're going to make a book. Okay? And so this book will help us kind of come up with ideas. How to Write a Story. And this book is by Kate Messner and it's illustrated by Mark Seigel. Step 1. Search for an idea. A shiny one. So we know that when we write, first we have to have our idea, and we have our writing ideas, things that we can write about on our anchor chart. You can write about something you love. So she's thinking about space and horses, airplanes, sea monsters, giant spiders. I don't love giant spiders. I couldn't write about that. If it was a book about things that scare me, then yes, giant spiders would be actually number 2. Snakes, number 1. It says, or you can write about something that scares you. Giant spiders. You might write about something you know really well, like if you're a great soccer player, or if you really like dogs. Or you can research a topic that you'd like to learn more about. Thank you. So if there's something that you would like to learn more about, remember yesterday when we were learning about Spruce and her offspring, and we talked about how something that animals need to be able to do is they have to know how to survive. And we talked about it's really hard for a sea turtle to survive in the ocean sometimes when there's lots of plastic. And so we researched, we looked at different videos that talked about what happens when sea turtles get in plastic. We saw a company that's actually cleaning the plastic out of the ocean, which is an amazing thing. So sometimes if there's something that you want to write about and you're not sure about it, you can always research it. Don't worry if not all your ideas are shiny. Sometimes you have to collect a lot to figure out what works best. So she's walking around and she's looking at books. Books have really great ideas in them. And she's thinking about music. What are some other things it looks like she's thinking about? What are some things that you see or notice? Richard?
I see that she's thinking about the beach and sea boats.
The beach and sea boats. Do you notice anything else?
And dogs.
Dogs. And so she's just going around and she's looking at books trying to come up with ideas. Step 2. So we already know step 1. We have to get an idea, right? Step 2. Once you have your idea, you have to choose a setting. What is the setting? Turn to a Turn Talk partner and talk to them about the setting. Remember yesterday we read the book Lily's Purple Plastic Purse. Where was the setting? What is a setting? Talk to your partner.
I think spiders should not be in her blood. I think sitting no. You don't want to the party there. Which one is setting where the then the story takes place. I think she has a butt in the place that we're in right now.
Thank you for coming back. So I heard some friends sharing and talking about different settings, but what is a setting? What is a setting? Nevaeh?
A setting is where a story takes place.
A setting is where a story takes place. Great job. So, once you have decided on your idea, you can choose a setting. And they gave us some examples. So the setting can be a soccer field. It can be an art museum, outer space, or an aquarium.
I think the moon. I picked the
So, if you write about something like going to outer space, or if you write about going to an aquarium, think about the things that are there. Remember, the setting describes what you see or what is there. It's a place, okay? Step 3, choose a main character. What is a character?
like a person.
Turn and talk to your partner. What is a character? I love how you said you agreed with your partner. You're listening to what All right. Turn back. What is a character? What is a character? Egan?
A person.
Is it just a person?
No.
What else can a character be? India?
It can be a person or animal.
It can be a person or animal. So remember when we made this chart together? It's okay. And we talked about what stories have. When we write stories, if we read them or we write them, all stories have the same thing. All stories have characters, and a character can be a person or an animal, and they all have a setting. And remember, we said a setting is a place, but setting can also be what? Is it just the place?
No.
It can also be what else? Christian Rose?
It can also be a character.
Not a character. Richard?
A time.
It can also be a time. So when you think about your story and your writing, you could talk about the setting could be at night. Maybe you are in a aquarium at night. Or maybe you are underwater during the day. All right, so settings are a time and a place. Characters are the people or animals in our stories. So, choose a main character. That's the person who grows and changes the most as the story unfolds. So she's thinking about different characters she can write about. She could be a police officer or a knight in shining armor. She can be a cowgirl or an astronaut or even a mermaid. You can brainstorm and draw your main character if you want. Try to learn all about them before you start writing. So if you're writing about yourself, do you have to brainstorm and think about and learn about yourself?
No.
No, you know about yourself. So if you're writing a story and your story is going to be something that you've done or something that has happened to you, you don't have to really brainstorm who that person is because you know yourself. if you're making up a story, Dakarion, if it's a fictional story, then you're going to want to know a little bit about that person that you're creating or that character. Step 4, so this is a new step. We haven't talked about this one. If you are creating a character, you have to dream up a problem for your main character. Whenever we read stories, there's usually a problem. Let's think about the story we read yesterday, Lily's Purple Plastic Purse. There was a problem in that story. Turn to your partner and in a whisper voice, tell them what was the problem in that story.
The problem was she messed up the he gave it back with a tree.
What was the problem in the story, Lily's Purple Plastic Purse?
He gave the first bag.
And how did that mean note make her feel? Great job.
She made cookies for us. She gave them to us.
All right. Who can share what their partner told them? What did your partner say was the problem in our story that we read yesterday, Lily's Purple Plastic Purse? What was the problem, Richard?
So the problem is, Mr. Slingers took our powers and she did very, very mean and said bad words. And then he gave it back with all kinds of goodies and seals. And then she felt bad for what she did, and then she got in the corner and said, I'm gonna stay here for a million days just for Mr. Slingers.
1 million.
And then she made him some cookies. She made him some cookies and gave it to him. And then he said, what should we do with this? And then she said, we should throw it away.
Well, he said to throw away the note she wrote, right? So the problem was that Lily brought in her plastic purse. She really wanted to share it. That's what Layla told me, that she really wanted to share it, but she couldn't wait.
So she opened it,
And the teacher took it.
And she wrote mean words.
And so that was a problem, right? Because the problem was that Lily, because she didn't want to wait, she got mad at what her teacher did. And then she decided to write a mean note. And that was a problem, right?
Yep.
All stories that we read have a problem. Okay? If you remember the story Chrysanthemum? About the little girl whose name was really long and the kids picked on her about it? No. And she went to school? All right. Well, who remembers the story Rock, Paper, Scissors? Remember how Rock, Paper, Scissors battled?
Yeah.
That was a problem because they were trying to figure out who was the best, and they kept battling each other until they figured it out. All right? Or Papa, Give Me the Moon. Remember the dad went to the moon and took it? Thank you, Camille. And then because the little girl said she wanted to play with it. And so her dad tried to give her the moon. But then the moon disappeared and ended up back in the sky. So when we read stories, they have a problem. As a writer, you can write how to solve that problem. So maybe you got on a banana spaceship and blasted off to outer space. but when you got there, your spaceship ran out of rocket fuel. That's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
How are you going to make it back? You're in a banana spaceship. So then maybe you can solve the problem by you decide to take your banana and use it as rocket fuel, and you go flying back on just the banana skin. Now, I have a question. Do stories always have to be very serious? No, sometimes they can be funny. Or maybe your story can be you went to the aquarium and you had such an amazing time that you looked up and it was nighttime. And then you were locked in the museum. What do you do?
Break the glass.
But that'll get you sent to jail.
Yes, that's it. Get out away from them.
Or maybe you just decide that you're going to watch all the beautiful animals, and in the morning when they open up the doors, you'll just call your mom and go home.
I would just run out.
Or maybe you decided that you wanted to stay in the aquarium overnight because you wanted to have a sleepover with the sharks and the jellyfish.
Then they go bite you.
So do you think that means that does that mean jump in the shark aquarium?
No.
No, that just means watching. Maybe you decided that you wanted to spend your night watching jellyfish light up the room. I don't know if you've ever been to an aquarium, but when you see jellyfish, they usually have them in darker rooms because jellyfish glow. They're like beautiful night lights. And the way they glow, they're like really pretty colors. So they're like purple and blue.
I like them.
So maybe you decided that you wanted to have a sleepover in the aquarium because you wanted to have jellyfish as your nightlight. Does that mean that you're going to actually spend the night in the aquarium? No. All right. But your stories, they usually have problems. So right here, her main character, she's thinking about problems. It can be something as simple as, I spilled my juice. Oh no, what do I do? That's a problem. So it can be regular everyday trouble, like I spilled my juice, or I lost my homework, or, oh no, I stubbed my toe. Like, have you ever been walking and you accidentally hit your toe? So those are regular problems, right? Or it could be something more adventurous. A sea monster hatches in the city aquarium.
Huh? That's a big. That looks like a
That's
dragon.
big.
But isn't that a huge adventure?
Yes.
It looks like a dragon.
It's a sea monster. Step number 5. Now it's time to plan your story. So the next step is you want to start with something exciting. So she decides that she's a mermaid. And her story says the sea monster scares fish. Sea monster's tails crack the tank. Oh no. You can make the problem worse and worse. So the sea monster has cracked the tank at the aquarium. Then it says until finally your character thinks of something to do. So then the mermaid lassos the sea monster. So she takes the seaweed out of the aquarium and she uses it like a rope and she lassos the sea monster. She ties him up.
She's like a real hero.
See?
The mermaid grabbed a kelp plant and quickly tied it into a lasso. She twirled it over her head and waited for the sea monster to surface. As soon as he popped up, she threw the kelp as hard as she could. The lasso sailed through the air and landed around his skinny neck. The sea monster was captured. That's an amazing story. So, it says when you finish your first draft, take a break and go do something else. Stories need time to blossom and grow. So we're going to actually stop right here because there are a lot of steps that we just learned about. And Ms. Drew-Hundley is going to show you how you can use your writing paper or how you can create a story and use all those steps. Okie dokie artichokes. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do, excuse me, friends. Krishan, you might want to slide over that way so you're not behind me and you can see okay. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, friends, in our story, there were a lot of steps. And we're going to talk about how to plan a story using all those steps. All right? So the first step it gave us, this step we know. We have to search for an idea. So we can get ideas. Thank you to the friends who are sitting on their bottoms and crisscross applesauce. So we can search for ideas by looking at the writing idea chart. We can write about things that we already know about, all right? But first off, we want to come up with an idea. So we're going to actually draw out. We're going to give ourselves some thoughts, some notes that we can look at to help us organize our thoughts. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to think about what we want to write about, all right? I think what I want to write about is the snow. Because it's very cold, and I feel like it's gotten super cold, but it hasn't really snowed a lot. And I don't like driving in the snow, but I always think snow is really pretty. So I would like to write a story about snow. So I'm going to start off by drawing some snow, because that's my idea. So here goes a pretty snowflake, because I want my notes to show up. So you guys are going to do this with pencil, so that if you make a mistake, you can erase it. All right, so I just did a quick sketch of some snow. So that's my idea. I'm going to write about a snowy day. All right, so I have my first step. I don't need to really research it because I already know about snowy days. And then step number 2, once you have your idea, you need to choose a setting. So if I'm talking about a snowy day, that means that my setting is going to probably be outside, right? Yeah. So I think that I'm going to draw some things to let me know that we're outside. And I don't like to be outside on a snowy day during, at night, Dakarion. So I'm going to also draw sun, to let me know that this story will take place during the day. So I have my, I'm going to say snowy day. I have my snowman. I have it's snow. All right. And I have some snowflakes to help me remember that. Okay. So I have my setting. I'm outside during the day, Farron. Step number 3 is I need to choose a main character. So I'm going to write about myself, okay? I'm going to write about my adventures with a snowy day. And I think that one thing that I really want to talk about is making all the fun things you can do on a snowy day. So number 1, I have to wrap up. Because I'm not going outside on a snowy day with shorts on. So I have on a big coat, put a zipper on it, I have a scarf, I'm going to put on a fuzzy hat. I think I'm going to make my hat, I'm going to give it a little ball on the end. All right, there are my ears. I'm happy, I guess. I got to give myself some mittens. And I'm going to be building this snowman, so I'm going to put my mittens on the snowman. I'm going to have on some furry boots because you can't go outside in the wintertime with regular boots on. All right? And now I have my character. I think that maybe one of my other characters I should have, I think I'm going to add my kids. Because the only reason Miss Drew-Hundley would go outside on a snowy day is to play with her children. So I'm going to draw my sons. And over here, my oldest son is actually almost as tall as me. So I'm going to have to put him over here. And he also has on his big snow boots. I'm gonna make his coat a little longer because it's cold outside, and make sure he has on long sleeves and a mitten. And he's gonna actually hold a snowball because something that we like to do on a snowy day is have a snowball fight. And then this is his Detroit hat. He has a lot of Detroit hats. And then I'm gonna draw my other son over here. I think I'm gonna draw him getting hit by a snowball. So here goes the snowball. It's coming towards him, and he's going oh because he sees that he's about to get hit. In fact, I'm gonna have him. He's already fallen on the ground because he got hit by a snowflake. So his feet are up, and he's on the ground. And I'm gonna cover him in some snow because he already got hit by a snowball. All right. So now I have to come up with a problem. So I kind of talked about the problem, Egan. I think that my problem is going to be that we're having a snowball fight, and Riley got hit. Jonah popped him. Pop. Here comes another one. All right, and I'm over here making snowmen, being happy, and he's getting hit by snowballs. And if you've ever been hit by snowballs, especially if it hits you in your face, it hurts.
I know.
It's cold.
It's really cold. Well, we don't punch. That's not okay.
I punched the snowball.
So I know that the problem is going to be that Riley is going to be really upset that he got hit with a snowball. Pop. He's angry. So more than likely what's going to happen is he's going to start throwing snowballs like crazy, which means I will probably get hit, and then I'm not going to be happy. So now the problem's bigger because now Mom is angry that I got snow on the side of my face, and Riley's going to be angry because he got hit in the face with a snowball and he's on the ground, and Jonah's probably over there laughing at him. Okay? That's a problem, right? So now this is the thing. I got to find a solution. How are we going to solve this problem? All right? And I think what I'm going to say is going to happen in order to solve the problem is that we're going to have to have some teams. So I think that the solution to my problem, I'm going to draw it up here because my story is going to have steps. The solution to the story is going to probably be that Mr. Drew-Hundley is going to have to come out.
Oh no.
And so Mr. Drew-Hundley, he's going to have on his hat. But he's going to have to come out here. And he's really tall. And we're going to have to do something that we like to call the faces. So in my house, my youngest looks like me and my oldest looks like his dad. And so sometimes we talk about the faces. The faces team up against the other faces. So Dad and Jonah are going to have to be on the team, and Riley and Mom, Ms. Drew-Hundley, are going to be on the team. And we're going to have an epic snowball fight.
Oh yeah.
So we will make some snowballs. So I'm going to draw a whole bunch of snowballs.
Cool.
We're going to make piles of snowballs, and we're going to have to find some places to hide. All right, so we make rules. We have like a tree in our yard. That's a good place to hide. We try not to hide behind the cars, but we might have to run and hide behind a car. So I got to draw one of the cars.
It's so bright. Why does it look like a truck?
Because it's a truck. So we have a pickup truck in our yard, in our driveway, and we're gonna hide behind these different things to have an epic snowball fight. So I'm gonna write snowball, and then we're gonna have a snowball fight. Okay.
Yes,
And that's how we're going to, that's going to be my story. So after we have the epic snowball fight, the rules are that once all the snowballs are thrown, that's it. And then we all laugh and we go inside at the end. And everybody, the winners, everybody gets a cup of hot cocoa.
Best thing on a snow day.
And that's my story. So I'm going to write about, I have my idea, which is a snowy day. I'm going to write about what's going to happen, my problem. So this is my problem. So you don't need to write the word problem, but I'm just writing problem so that you guys can see. My problem is that Riley's going to get hit by a snowball. And actually, this is my solution. I wrote the wrong thing. This is the solution. I'm going to solve my problem by having a snowball fight. And then at the end of my story, I'm going to end it by us all going inside, and we're going to take off all our clothes that are covered in snow, and we're going to drink hot cocoa so we can warm up.
Hi, it's only 2 cups. It's 4, y'all.
I know, but this is just a sketch. So this helps me remember my ideas. So then, Egan, when it's time for me to write, I can just say, all right, I'm going to start off with my snowball fight. And then I'm going to talk about how we were outside on a snowy day. I'm going to talk about how my son got hit by the snowballs, pop, pop. How my other son was laughing. I had to call out. And we're going to have an epic snowball fight. We have places to hide. And we're going to have our snowball fight until we run out of snowballs. And then after that, we're going to have hot cocoa. Is that a good story?
Yes. A little.
So, when you write your story, this is what I want you to do. Everybody's going to get a sheet of paper. It's just going to be a blank sheet of paper. And I want you to plan out your ideas, Dakarion. Think about what you want to write about. Do you need to write about, or do you have to write about a snowball fight? No. And also, Richard, do you need to write about a story? Does it have to be something that's happened to you?
No.
No, you can make up a story. We just read a story about a little girl who pretended, Egan, that she lived in an aquarium and she was a mermaid. And that a big sea monster hatched from that aquarium. And that she saved the day by using seaweed, and she lassoed it together, and she caught the sea monster
With his skinny neck.
around his skinny neck. That was a made-up story. Okay? So you guys can also do the same thing. So what I would like for you to do right now, I want you to think about what you want to write about. So close your eyes. You can look at the writing ideas poster.
I didn't think about my idea.
We're just taking a moment and we're thinking about what we would like to write about.
I'm at school right here, and then I found it.
Oh, we're letting friends think. When you have thought of your idea. Okay, so for the friends who have thought about your idea, I'm going to give you a blank sheet of paper so you can draw out what you want to write about. So this paper will help you remember your ideas. It does not need to be colored in because, Richard, we're only writing out our ideas. This is just to help us remember our story, okay? So, if you're touching your nose, you're telling me that you're ready for a blank sheet of paper so you can go ahead and start sketching out your ideas. Do we need to color this in? No, we're only using a pencil. Okay? Make sure you write your name somewhere on your paper. Egan, stand up, please.
Excuse me. So, how did I have like make a square? But that makes go down over up. Like this, like this. I mean, you could draw.
Wow.
But it's time for lunch. This is Ariel wants to. So why we not? This is Ariel wants to. Stop talking. No,
Yeah, your body says too, right? I love that. That's what you gotta figure out. Do you know how you're gonna solve the problem? There's only 2 swings. How are you gonna solve that problem?
Remember last time I had made a great hit at
You just had what?
okay, so right in my house, that's you? That was like in a hat. But I had to cloud it. I didn't have this one. The problem is,
Alan, I know you just work for Sorry about.
I don't have any tomatoes. I don't have any gas. I have
Do you know what you're gonna write about? Ba-ba-da-da-ba. All right.